Hi, this is a brief overview of our posture on multi-stable perception of homonyms. We are used to our perceptual experience as being stable and unambiguous, but it must be constructed from noisy and intrinsically ambiguous sensory inputs, and sometimes the end result of this process deviates from the ground truth, and in this case we call it an illusion. A prime example of these are multi-stable stimuli, such as an ambiguously rotating sphere you can see on the left, or binocular rivalry or the Necker cube. They're compatible with two or more interpretations, and therefore our perception switches between the alternatives for as long as we care to look at the stimulus. This is not a uniquely human phenomenon. It has been demonstrated in primates, pigeons, mice, and potentially even insects. And it's also not just visual. The same thing is observed and reported for auditory, tactile, and even olfactory perception. In short, it's a general property of the way the winner-take-all competition is wired. All our previous examples were concerned with multi-stability of perception. Then physically constant stimulus leads to qualitatively different sensory perception. Here we asked whether similar switching behavior could be observed for multi-stability of homonym words' meaning. Homonyms are words with the same spelling and pronunciation but different meanings. For example, the word bank, you can see on the screen, may mean a financial institution, a bank you sit on, or a riverbank. In all of these cases, your perception of the writing or the sound of the word stays the same, but the meaning is different. So the question is, will it switch just like your sensory perception does? To test this, we conducted an online study with native German speakers using three sets of words. The words which should be unambiguous, meaning just single dominant meaning, bistable words, and tristable words with three meanings. The words were picked by a native German language speaker, that was Malin Styrnal. And when we write a single or two in these quotation marks, we do mean these quote marks seriously, in a sense that we hoped that we correctly evaluated the number of meanings, but it's all about participants' perception and report. The words which are unambiguous for one person could mean several things to others, and vice versa. During the experiment, participants heard the same word repeated every 2 seconds for 1 minute and reported on the perceived meaning by pressing one of the arrow keys, and the mapping of the individual arrow keys and the meanings was presented on the screen. They always had an option to press up key for other meaning, the meaning of the word we haven't thought of, or even to press space button for the cases where the word stopped having a meaning and sort of turned into just a pure sound. But they almost never use this button. The single word meaning we mostly guess sort of correctly. In most cases we do find that a single meaning dominates for all 5 words. And this condition served as a sanity check for us, so that whether participants actually pay attention to the task or sort of press buttons randomly or even forget to press the buttons, but as you can see, they clearly did pay attention to the task. For the words with 2 meanings, the results are more variable. For some, like Schloss or Schale, you have a very balanced perception of the 2 meanings. For other words, not so much. In particular, the word Ball or ball, you can see that it's pretty much unambiguous, with a single meaning dominating most of the time. Still, that shows that for the most words, you do have the switching behavior where the different meanings are perceived within a single minute episode and perception of participants switches between them. With the 3-minute words, again, we didn't really quite get it right. In most cases, they were bistable or even unambiguous, as it turns out, as in case of Messen. It could reflect a fairly short 1-minute measurement period. We tried to extend it, but participants found it really hard to concentrate beyond that single 1 minute. And one more time, again, if you look at the balanced words, again, in the bistable words, you find that a lot of them are nicely balanced, and when you do have that, you observe this characteristic switching behavior from one meaning to another and back. Unfortunately, the dominance phases were long, and so within 1 minute we could capture only few switches and so only few dominance phases, and that precludes us from doing a finer analysis of the time series by looking at the shape or by looking at the autocorrelation, the serial dependence of the responses. But to conclude, we did demonstrate the multistability of meaning for the homonym words, and this provides the further support to the idea that multistability is an emergent phenomenon of the canonical winner-take-all circuits locally implemented at different levels and for different representations, and it's simply canonical circuits, general purpose circuits which work under the unusual input. Thank you for your attention. My leave session will be on Monday at 11 o'clock. I'll see you then.